Hello and welcome to the DrivingMaul Highlanders versus British and Irish Lions post-game review. We are still waiting for Scott to join us, but I already have Sean from the Fill Your Boots. How are you doing, Sean?
Yeah, very good. How are you?
Not bad at all, not bad at all. So, the game ended 23-22 with a late kick from Marty Banks. Marty Banks being famous in New Zealand, or at least in Super Rugby this season, for pretty much having a very high percentage goal kicking. So it was no surprise to see him come on and take over the kicking duties and slot that one over late on. But I think one of the questionable moments will be Farrell's missed penalty after Dan Biggar went off. I personally thought that you weren't actually allowed to come onto the pitch straight away and take a kick. I thought it had to be a player who was on the pitch when the penalty was given.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
But I did hear the referee saying that actually that only applies for HIA. And we are now complete. We have Scott as well. So Scott, thank you for joining us. Scott from the Rugby United. How are you doing, sir?
Doing very well. Yes, celebrating. You guys are so quick. I didn't have time to get another drink.
So we have a chance of keeping Scott sober then for the next half hour, which would be good. Maybe get some.
I can see 2 red shirts. What's that all about?
So Scott,
London calling.
Scott is our resident Highlander fan. I can see you in your away strip there. I think it is with the neon green Adidas stripes.
Yes. He's pretty. There'll be pretty happy crowds down in Dunedin tonight. Look at them. Yes, very went against the grain just at the end, but you guys would be a little bit flat on that.
I think so. There's a couple of things where we'll go on to talk about them, but obviously we've got to talk about the Lions' performance and what it means for the Test matches. But let's not take it away from the local side first. The Highlanders, as you say, came back from looking down and out, or looking down at least after 2 tries went against them early in the second half, and then bashed over. And I saw a lot of tweets going, the Highlanders outlined the Lions with that line-out maul to finish to get that last try there.
Yeah, it's there was it. I think the Lions tended to revert back to their misorganization. They looked a little bit sort of stifled a little bit there. Is that something to do with Laidlaw possibly trying to influence and a clash of the cultures there? Is it? What do you think it is?
I don't think so. I think it was just a very, very, very good driving maul, and the Lions just got disfragmented and didn't know what to do a couple of meters out. I think Dan Biggar was 2 meters away from it and decided he was just going to watch the hooker drive over, which I thought
hands
was
off. Yeah, hate to see it. Yeah,
very, very typical and normal lines. But let's not just go down to the specifics just yet. I mean, Highlanders' performance, lots of energy, lots of kicking, pretty much what you'd expect from a Highlanders normal style.
From myself, yes. The counter speed. That's what they use. Is they think quickly. They react as individuals, but they also obviously have ideas what the other members of the team might do. So, for example, the very quick line out passes, the tap runs, the getting up, and also, even though they don't come off all the time, but those quick little passes, the over the tops, it all builds together. So they certainly didn't change a lot of their game. They played exactly like they would if they were playing the Brumbies or anybody else. It was very good to watch. Very and missing some people too. So the players came in and filled those gaps, and it was really top notch. definitely 8 or 9 out of 10. Oh, you'd have to say 9 out of 10. 10, but not 10 because they did put themselves under pressure and they lost composure after 5 minutes into the second half. They really did lose some composure, but no, showed the heart at the end. And Luke Whitelock is how he's not in the All Blacks, I'm not too sure.
Outstanding.
So surely, you obviously probably you don't know them quite as well as us. Who stood out for you from the Highlanders this evening or this morning?
I thought the scrum half was excellent.
Hamilton.
Apologies for some names. Holo is always great. Physical guy. It took 2 or 3 guys to stop him. Get that guy ball in hand. Not many people are going to stop him.
Yeah.
So those two were definitely the standout. Luke Whitelock at number 8 was superb. It was at pretty much every breakdown. I thought the Highlanders was excellent.
Yeah, I mean the big names stood up. I mean, obviously we saw Naholo out wide do not only ball in hand, but it's pretty good in the air and defensively as well, which sometimes can be a bit can be not the sort of top strength of his game. Fekitoa also putting himself around, perhaps running too far in to get involved in some fisticuffs or some afters when he shouldn't have done so. I think it was very clear he was out there to make a statement. As you say, Hamilton stood up well, replacing Aaron Smith. And I think Barracuda did a pretty good job replacing Ben Smith at the back as well, Richard Buckman. The Sopawanga, perhaps a bit of an on-off game, because with Cruden picking up that injury last Friday, I'm not sure if he's going to be available for the tests. Then Sopawanga would naturally come onto the bench. There, do you think he was? We saw an All Black sort of scrum fly half performance there.
I didn't see the All Black fly half performance, but I saw enough. He hasn't quite regained his kicking confidence. The kick pass, they're 2 different things, obviously, place kicking and his kick pass. So his kick pass is definitely an asset. Really pinpoint, and that within the first 3 minutes, obviously getting Naholo involved, all it did was just basically spread the pressure out towards the flanks. But overall, his performance really wasn't as complete. And I think when Marty Banks came on, Marty Banks tends to do just well enough, but because he gets himself involved, it looks like he's doing it very adequately. It's more than adequate. Is what the tag you'd put onto the legend that is Marty Banks. And yeah, Sopawanga probably had other things on his mind, and he shouldn't play like that. He should certainly commit 100% to the game. But the dry track, there was no excuses by anybody tonight. It was perfect conditions for your team, for the Lions, for all elements of the Lions really, and they came within a whisker. They had the lead, so they had the lead taken off them. It's not like they completely lost the game. They had the lead taken back from them.
Absolutely. I mean, they didn't manage to shut up the game in the way that we would expect, or a decent side to do so. So let's move on to the Lions then, and how this and what this all kind of means. So what we saw against the Crusaders was a very strong Lions defence. And not really that much on attack. Tonight, the defence wasn't quite up there, was it, Sean? I thought some gaps out there.
It wasn't. The line speed was there, but I just think defensively at the breakdown, they didn't seem to have that same oomph that they did on Saturday night. I think defensively, I think they were fine, but it's just it wasn't as intense as it was on Saturday.
No, I'd agree. Their composure wasn't as self-assured. They definitely didn't look as self-assured, and they probably didn't bring the game within the take it away from the tram lines. They did lose the control of the ball that went left and went right. Sinclair's still, a couple of good runs and head on defence, and probably. I mean, did Haskell have a good game? Was he?
No,
did he bring?
I don't think so. His penalty count was quite high as well. But no, he wasn't that the big bruising monster that we'd seen in the Six Nations and the Australia tour last year.
Yeah. So the Faletau, Faletau is adding so much more when he's in the game.
Absolutely. Faletau's going to be the starting number 8. That's pretty clear. I mean, Haskell did get in. Looking at the stats here, did get in 10 tackles and he gave up 1 penalty. So perhaps not as bad a game, but as you say, didn't impose himself, which is a difference between that.
And you would have thought he was up for it. It's the club he's played against. You would have thought he would have tried to use that as his motivation. He used to play for the Highlanders.
I raise a point though. When he played for the Highlanders, I think they had probably their worst season ever, and we do remember that he only played probably 8 games. But I thought what you get is obviously you get your little pods, So you had your blindside flanker, and probably with your locks, and then I didn't necessarily see that open side, sort of crashing in and doing a lot of what our players tend to do, whereas Evans, Gareth Evans, he was out of the pack, so you got that ranging player, whereas obviously I didn't really see a lot of that from the Lions themselves. But it doesn't mean that when they set up for their defensive structure that their locks and their flankers weren't doing defense. It's just they didn't hang around as far out. They came straight back into the pack. So they were pack bound.
So
in
just having a quick look at some of the comments we've had on the live chat. Dan Bigger loves to stand off. It's in his job description, so that's kind of standard. He's not someone who throws himself into into a maul that's heading towards the line. Lots of players were really disappointing, especially in the backs. Seymour, Payne, Nowell, JJ, and Henshaw were well below what they can perform to. Now, I think from the backs, for me, when the Lions are attacking, is that they're not running straight enough. I think they're running sideways too much, which is just allowing the defence to go across, and that's why they keep running out of space, which I think means that players like Nowell, like Seymour, end up basically getting the ball with no space and just with no opportunity to do anything. The one thing I did see from, I think Payne again, defensively was pretty good, was pretty solid from what I saw, but attacking wise, had a couple of drop balls, and I think there were too many errors from him to really to see. I think he had opportunity there to take Hogg's place in the test side or take a claim. I think he missed that opportunity.
Yeah,
a bit against JJ. I think I saw JJ doing something which we don't normally see him do. JJ's known for his quick outside break, and that's clearly not how the Lions want to play. The Lions want somebody cutting in onto the shoulder of Henshaw or Teo and taking the offload. And I saw him do that a couple of times tonight, which is not something you would normally see him do. So I think actually JJ had a fairly decent game. Defensively, he was a bit off sometimes, but on attack, he was trying things and definitely trying to get himself into that 13 jersey because whoever has that jersey has to run that inside line off Teo.
You mean angles or being able to stand up in the tackle? I
mean the angles. Normally JJ likes to receive the ball and run outside around somebody, and has got the pace to make a good outside break. If the ball's going to come from Farrell to Teo and Teo's going to take it up, take the first hit and then offload, he needs that player running in off his shoulder, and that's not JJ's game.
Like a Jonathan Davis.
Like a Jonathan Davis, exactly, which is why everyone's saying that Jonathan Davis, if without the head concussion, is probably the test 13 at the moment, because that's the sort of style we saw against the Barbarians. We saw the Teo going through and then the Lions trying to flood that channel with players. And it didn't work. Everyone's timing was off and it just wasn't working. We saw Davis do it a couple of times before he got the head concussion, and we saw JJ doing it tonight a couple of times. So I think that's so I think JJ's at least following the game plan, which is needed. But I don't think that Henshaw personally did anything that made it stand out to me tonight.
Yeah, Noel is obviously pretty interesting. They do play very, very wide. So when you say they were running themselves out of space, obviously they need to get the ball within the line out, 5 meter line. They can't really get the ball when they're so far out, because otherwise you just end up either having to step inside and you don't see a lot of production. So for Payne, I thought Payne did better in the first half. He was running in to get the ball, but once he had that drop pass from Sinclair, it did probably take a little bit of his confidence away. And you're right, he probably just naturally wasn't in his right position. That try from Joseph was quite good. I had to write down. Obviously, it was a very good centre try, very good Conrad Smith type of try, where you fake, and then you break the line. You take that little gap that's in front of you. So he definitely has some potential. But Fekitoa did get around him a couple of times. Yeah.
I'd say defensively he didn't know his best night, but then outside break is exactly why he's a shoo-in for the England team, because that's what Jones looks to do. He looks to get the ball wider out there, whereas Gatland will play a narrower game plan initially before spreading it wide, but which is what we saw. The other thing I think we saw was the Lions trying the offload and trying to keep it alive, especially in that second half period where they did get those 2 tries. Was they try to play a kind of a Kiwi game with the keeping the ball alive, not going into rucks, and again just keeping the point of attack moving, which is what we see from and the Highlanders struggle with that, and it's no surprise.
But that was good though. It was different. We played some pretty normal rugby for a couple of games, and we had the 20-minute spell where we were trying to throw it around and keep it alive. It's just showing that maybe they'll be able to just mix it up if and when they have to. I didn't see a problem in that at all. And now did it quite. Alan Wynne-Jones had good hands in there as well. That
was a good period of play, I think. Again, another couple of points from here. Apart from Seymour's try, the Lions look very shaky under the high ball. That's a big problem in New Zealand.
Yeah, true. Naholo was very good at retrieving the ball. Buckman is pretty. He actually stole the ball out of was it Seymour's hand, and so there's definitely some aspects to that. But I only saw Bigger do sort of one offensive kick towards Seymour's left flank. But I think yes, that the high ball is a difficult one, and nowadays obviously you've got to do it correctly, otherwise you're going to get a yellow card. Or so Daly might have maybe at the end of the game, if you had put the ball up and Daly was in a position to challenge for the ball and a big Naholo was running towards him, do you think he still has the fear in the back of his mind that if he doesn't get it right, he's going to give away a card?
I would.
We saw Liam Williams do that twice against. We saw Liam Williams do that twice against Duffy in the Blues and ended up going off a yellow card, which is why I'm a bit concerned about him in the running there. Lawrence makes a good point that this is the dirt trackers. This is the second string side for the Lions. That is true, but countering that, they're all just one injury away from playing in that test team. And they are all.
What's second string about the tour captain? Warburton being on the pitch and guys like that. Alan Wynne-Jones. These guys are starters. So it's not a midweek. It's definitely not a midweek team.
I would say it is actually. I mean Warburton's coming back from injury. You had Alwyn Jones and Farrell on the bench. There's only 5 locks, so one of the test locks has to be on the bench. Because you've for a substitute. So Webb, will be on the bench for the test game, but needed the minutes because he didn't play at all against the Crusaders, didn't get on the pitch. So, no, I think you can basically say that nobody in the starting lineup, apart from Warburton, who's coming back from injury, it can expect to start a test at the moment.
Not even Warburton.
Apart from Warburton, Sam Warburton was about the only player there.
For those places.
There are a few there who are trying to stake a claim. I mean, JJ's trying to get himself ahead of Jonathan Davis. CJ Stander's trying to get himself the number 6 jersey, and I don't think he would have played if Moriarty was fit. I think Moriarty would have been the number 8 for tonight, purely because this is, as I say, the dirt trackers rather than the test team. This is the possibles rather than the probables.
This is dirt tracker is it's still it means that you've got two sides that are always going to run out and nobody's ever going to influence. So there's people that wanted to put their hands up and possibly, they would have found this as an advantage because they were playing in dry conditions. So for them, for the Lions to get 3 tries is a benefit. So there's positives to draw from it. It's just obviously, there were certain things. Sorry, either of you, was there one condition on the list and actually 2 misses? So
there you go, yeah.
So
version.
Bigger and Daly obviously got very close with his 57-meter attempt.
Farrell missed his.
I know.
Farrell.
Actually, so yes, let's be honest. It was the Farrell kick was the one that, because the timing of the game would have put the Lions 5 points ahead, which meant that meaning that the Highlanders would have had to score a try rather than a penalty to win the game. And Bigger obviously had just gone off then, and Farrell came on and took the kick. Now, 2 things here. One, I didn't think you were allowed to come on and take a kick straight away, but Gardner said that's only for HIAs. And secondly, someone cold like that, I wouldn't have asked him to kick. I think we had Daly and I think Laidlaw was on the pitch at the time. So Laidlaw's a very high percentage kicker. Daly's is a very capable kicker, and one of those two should have taken the kick rather than Farrell, who had just come on. I think it's harsh on Farrell to expect him to walk on the pitch and take a kick straight away. He missed it.
Yeah. You'd only want a guy like Carter or someone really, really solid and thinking about it. Actually a technical substitute kicker comes on and does the kick. But so with the injury that came from it obviously is pretty damaging, and you wouldn't want that for even a dirt tracker or a first grade player. So Laws didn't really look good, and probably for him to miss, if not this week, then possibly the Chiefs too.
Yeah, well, the protocol's 6 days because we saw Bigger go off the Blues with the HIA 6 days ago and play tonight. So he could be back. He could definitely be back for the Chiefs. I don't think he should be. I'm anti them players coming back that quickly. I'll make that clear, but he could be back by then. I've just gone totally blank. No, it was talk about some. Oh yeah, it does mean though that we now have to say that Laws wasn't going to be part of the test side of the locks anyway, so that's not an issue. We'll still see Alwyn Jones and Cruz starting with the Toji on the bench. So that's not impacted that side of things at all. Bebo did say he was disappointed that the Lions lost the scrum and the maul in the last, especially in the last 20, and that's supposed to be where the Lions are going to have a strength over the New Zealand sides, is in the set piece.
Set piece, yes. Although
Marlow was superb. First half, Marlow and Sinclair were superb in the scrum. Rory Bessler too.
Marlow, yep. So I don't think they can really put it down to any particular, because I mean that scrum. Let's say you add all of the technical to it, and then you add that little 2% energy and emotion, and it just pushes. It can just push the other team. So that particular scrum, that was pretty much an energy type one. The reaction, obviously, then just sort of downgraded the obviously, or Highlanders probably went a little bit over the top. Interesting, it was Greg Pleasance Tate, ex-Aucklander, who did that. So don't blame any Southerners for that. Yeah.
A couple of comments here. Some dirty bad calls against the Lions, revenge for the Crusaders team. No, sorry, I don't think the referee was that bad, and I don't think it was revenge for that. We'll have, and I don't think that's going to impact.
I don't like fingertip tries. I definitely, if you can't control the ball, then there's no try.
So there were that one. I mean, whilst I can see it given, it's not one that I would have liked to have been given against me. That try, definitely. I understand that one. The substitutes weren't given enough time to make a real impact. I think a lot of the substitutes were there, well, especially Alwyn Jones and Farrell were both there just to make up the 23. And the idea was they wouldn't get much game time because of being saved for the test matches.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't really surprise me. Just to wrap us up, I saw one comment saying that cements Naholo into that 14 jersey. What do you think?
I think there's not a lot of questions saying that Dag would come in and play as strongly, as offensively, as stand up type of game, but Dag brings something else. So there is a question there that they might want just a little bit of instead of instead of using a caber, what do they call it? What was the sword they passed out? The claymore. Instead of using a claymore, they might just want to use a softer blade. So yeah, Waisaki, and let's hope that he didn't injure himself. He sort of head planted. I think he sort of headed the ball, and the ball was on the ground. The ball didn't go anywhere, so he's probably going to wake up with a headache. He is probably an offensive weapon, and I would say that Hansen does go for that, but who's to say? I don't think it's cemented his position.
I'll go and put my I think we're going to,
you're going to be there Friday, so you might see him on Friday. Yeah.
I might see him on Friday. But look at this. All Blacks will play Smith and Dag to deal with the high ball, especially if Murray and Sexton are playing. Totally agree with that comment. Not so much Sexton really, but more Murray. If Murray's playing, there's going to be lots of box kicks that are contestable, and therefore we're going to see Dag on that right wing, or Smith. That's I totally agree with Wales 15.
Not that Naholo didn't get the ball tonight. I think he's pretty good with the ball, but it's just that they might just want to have a bit more of a delicate touch and bring him in as the impact.
I'm not saying he's a bad player with the high ball, but that's a speciality of Dag.
Yeah. Yep. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
So you've still got that there.
Bounce. There we go. Cool. We've got a bit of a storm coming through Auckland, so sorry about this.
Oh well. Anyway, we've hit the half-hour mark. So thank you very much. So Scott, why don't you tell people where they can get hold of you?
Oh, sorry. Okay, so at RugbyNZ _ is my Twitter account, and also you can read some of my meanderings on lastwordonrugby.com.
Okay, so he's putting himself down there. He is one of the editors, or not southern editors of Last Word on Sport. So hey, and he is the admin for Rugby United for New Zealand as well. So do check him out for those. And Sean, how do we fill our boots?
We're the Grassroots Player Exchange, sort of based in the UK. You can follow us on Twitter, FYB_rugby, or FYBrugby.com. Come check us out. We're trying to do some good things in the grassroots game in the UK.
So basically, if you are a player in the UK and you want a game at the weekend and you haven't got a team, look on there and it lists lots of teams that are looking for players. So
are you doing sevens at the moment?
Sevens, yeah, doing all sorts. Sevens, tens, touch.
Are you going to the beach rugby tournament in Portugal? I hear that's really good.
I'm not. No, that's this weekend. Unfortunately, not.
I'm trying to wrap this up, guys. This isn't sort of afternoon tea time. So if you want to play 7s, 10s, 15s, or touch men's or ladies, have a look on FYB. He did get nominated for the RFU Mitsubishi Volunteer Award thingamajig. Fantastic! Congratulations.
Well done.
And finally,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
and finally, me. I'm at DrivingMaul. Also, please do on Twitter. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. I will be back on Saturday after the Maori game with, who have I got? I've gone blank as to who I've got. I've got 2 great guests for that. The Pen from Scotland, so I have a Scottish view rather than English view for a change, and also rugby numbers, so I have a statistical New Zealand view. So join me for that straight after the New Zealand, after the Maori game. And
there was a great result tonight. The score reminder, what was the score again?
And the score was, to see us off, was 23-22 to the Highlanders with a late kick from Marty Banks, taking them over the line.
4th time in 50 years. Amazing result.
The first time ever, as the Highlanders have never played the Lions before. And if you're going to be harping back to these Otago things, that's a totally separate team.
Classic. Yeah. So, good chat. Very good. Very good.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. As I say, I'll be back next Saturday. Do follow these 2 guys on Twitter. They are doing some great stuff, and I may have them back later on in the series. Cheers.
Evening.
Cheers.